You know that feeling? You finally have a free Saturday. No plans, no obligations. The whole day is a blank canvas. You could finally start the hobby. You could see your friends. You could just relax and read. And yet, by 3 p.m., you are still in your pajamas, scrolling on your phone, paralyzed by all the possibilities. Be honest, have you ever had so much freedom but ended up doing nothing at all? So welcome to the third episode of Pixel Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Charmaine, joined by my co-hosts Vincent, Isaac, and our special guest, Christy. Today we're talking about that exact feeling of freedom and paralysis, but through the lens of one of the most popular video games genre in the world, open world games. For those who are not familiar with the term, so an open world game provides a virtual world in which the player can approach objectives freely, as opposed to a world with more linear and structured gameplay. We'll explore why these fast digital landscapes are so appealing to us and why this can sometimes feel like very stressful and what they reveal about our own relationship with choice and control. Let's start not in a game, but in our own lives. We're consistently making choices, but only a few feel really massive. So my first question for you all is, what are some the most important decisions you feel you've made in life? Was it like school applications, choosing a career path, or just something you can think of?
Well, for me, I would say the most important kind of decision I've made recently would be like my university application. Like I chose the program of English education not so long ago, and it is something that I really had to think about for a really, really long time, since I had to really delve deep into whether I really want to sort of follow that career path for like the long term. Like it wouldn't be worth it if I study education and then do like computer science when I, graduate. So it's something that I've had to think very deep for a long time to make that decision.
I think it's great you didn't choose computer science. You would be unemployed right now.
And bold.
Yes. Well, I think instead of what my opinion or what I'm thinking is a bit more philosophical, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Instead of actually making a decision of something tangible, like, university degree, it's more like one of the more important decision is you deciding not to make a decision. For example, like when you're growing up, of course, a lot of times your parents, your teachers, people around you would ask you like, oh, what would you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? And a lot of times we only like hear about it and then we forget about it. And so we didn't make a decision then. We didn't set ourselves a goal. We didn't really, set a goal for ourselves to move towards and make other decisions based on that. And I think that is one of the most important decisions, is that we decided to not really make any decisions.
Well, I would say for me, I think choosing my career path is the most important decision, and also, how as you say, I think determining your own lifestyle is the most important decision in life, as you are like acclimating your decisions you made in life towards the your desired lifestyle. So I would say it's more important.
And like with those big decisions, for example, for you it's university application and for you it's like career path. So what are the major considerations weighing on you? Like was it salary, your future, your personal passion, or just social or family expectations?
I mean, one very important thing, of course, like salary and stuff is very important, but I think a more sort of something that I look towards the most is whether I would enjoy doing it for a prolonged period of time. Like imagine if there's something that pays you very, very much, but you absolutely dread doing it. You hate doing it. Every time you come into work, you want to leave. You want to jump out the window or something. If that is the work that you're going to be doing for the next 10 to 20 years, maybe you will grow to love it, but in most cases, you'll probably grow to hate yourself, hate the work, like hate everyone about it. So for me, a very important thing I look towards is whether it is like sustainable for me to do for a long time, whether I would like to do it, whether it's something that I won't actively hate. So that's what drives my decision the most.
So I can hear so much pressure in your voice. And the paths always feel so permanent. It's like when you choose it, then you cannot change it sometimes in life. So now let's have a contrast that with putting up an open world game. In an open world game, suddenly you're presented with a world where you can literally go in any direction with so minimal guidance, and you can do like anything. So what do you enjoy the most in these games? And is that the specific feeling of just being able to going on big quests and without anyone to stop you? Or are you guys open world games players?
Yeah, I mean, have you guys played GTA 5? I mean, of course, Vincent have. Have you guys played it?
I played GTA 4.
4? You old? Oh my god. You're ancient.
I played it like 10 years ago. So
10 years ago,
I
you're
don't
already
know.
gaming.
It was when I was born.
I started playing games at like the
Were you
age of
so
3.
No. But yeah, one of my favorite open world, and I'm sure a lot of people's favorite open world, is GTA 5. And instead of the big quest, of course, the storyline, the whole story is amazing. But what I enjoy most is not really the big quest, and anyone judging, stopping you. But what I enjoy the most is actually, just the world itself, how they have made the world to be like, it goes on even without you interfering. And what I enjoy doing most is just pretending to be someone else, or pretending to be just someone else other than myself in those worlds. I really like driving around in GTA 5 and just like, following the traffic laws and pretending that I'm actually perhaps maybe a driver, a chauffeur, and just a normal person driving around the city. And yeah, these kind of just chill activities that you can do in the open world is one of my favorite part about these games.
I would say one of my favorite open world games is Genshin Impact, while I'm currently trying like Elden Ring. For me, Elden Ring is a bit hard because it's like a soul-like game that is like famous for its difficulty over other games genres. But like I would say what attracts me to these open world games are like the immersion of yourself in a virtual world. You engage in their storytelling, though I know that it's a game. Yeah, so basically you are just experiencing what the game creators wanting you to experience in their own unique worlds. So I think it's what makes it unique from other like genres, I guess.
And just like you guys, I enjoy the immense freedom that is provided by these open world games. One of my favorite games of all time is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, specifically Breath of the Wild and not Tears of the Kingdom, because it released during the time when I was a student, a secondary school student. So it released back in 2017. I got to play it in 2018. And at the time, I was a secondary school student that, I couldn't really go anywhere. I didn't have money and stuff like that. I was trapped in my house. But an open world game like The Legend of Zelda that was so genre defining, it really cultivated a whole lot of other open world games to sort of, thrive. I mean, it is basically the standard of open world games nowadays, where you are placed in a world where you can literally do anything you want. Like, you see that there's a volcano, you can go to the volcano. You see a mountain peak, you can go to the mountain peak. That sort of freedom provided, a young and, not very capable kid like me to be able to like walk all across the world. The kind of freedom that it offers is something that I don't think any other game has really, it's a feeling that I haven't really gotten from any other games. So that's why I love this kind of games so much.
You know what also has that kind of freedom? Death Stranding. Go watch our first episode if you haven't.
hosted by yours truly.
So personally, my favorite open world game is also Breath of the Wild, not Tears of Kingdom. Yeah, somehow I just enjoy Breath of the Wild a lot more than Tears of Kingdom for some reason. But yeah, so it seems like we all are finding like another life in the an open world game, and it sometimes act like a therapy to us because we feel that we don't really have so much choice, or we can't really go anywhere we want in real life. So the open world game becomes a sandbox, a place where we can practice making decisions without that constant fear of making a mistake and without the crushing weight of permanence. But that freedom has a flip side, doesn't it? That initial you can do anything feeling can quickly curdle into something else. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by a very long list of manuals or quests in a game? Like there are so many red dots and so many icons and you just don't know what to do.
Yeah, one of my favorite sort of open world, or I heard some people call it open district game, is Yakuza. And in that game, the main storyline is absolutely amazing, but also at the same time, you have a lot of freedom with exploring the huge amount of side quests. Like the amount of side quests is also one of the famous thing about the Yakuza series. Like, I mean, the main storyline is about you being a sort of like boss of gang boss, but like in some of the side quests, you will be able to deal with a random guy who's dancing on the street naked. So you can kind of see how that gets kind of distracting. Mm-hmm. And there's like 200 something side quests in one game. And like you can't even walk like 15 meters in the map without having a random encounter or an encounter that starts as a side quest. So that gets really overwhelming, especially if you're trying to like experience all the side quests because people kept like just raving about it.
I guess like the main selling point of Yakuza is that there's like an abundance of like random side quests that doesn't really make sense. Like you would walk into a sauna where like an old dude is beating up a dog or something like that. That is an accurate description of a quest, by the way. And you know, it is commonplace that a lot of games try to follow this route, but like they do it too much sometimes. There are like too much side quests. Like you mentioned Genshin Impact. Like, I mean, I played Genshin Impact for a bit. By a bit I mean a few hundred hours, but like we'll ignore that for a second. Like there are too many side quests that are constantly popping up, and there are like a series of very, very long side quests that you don't really have to do, but like it's highly encouraged that you do it. But so for me, like it feels very overwhelming in that like I want to push the main story, but it's telling me that, oh, you should go do this quest before you push the main story.
Oh, right.
But like, I really want to just get on with.
Good news is you do not really have to do the previous missions now.
I won't return.
And another thing I want to add about Yakuza side quests is that sometimes actually the people you meet in the side quest will become the main characters in later games. So sometimes you really feel like you can't miss any side quest because of how it actually ties back to the main story, which is just insane.
Also, for Genshin Impact, another reason is that like it's a constantly updating game compared to like individual games on console. So especially there are lots of events. So there are like new events popping up in each version. So they kind of force you to do that due to like the I guess
pressure of the primal gems.
Yeah, the gacha stones. And so I feel like it makes me feel overwhelmed, and it's also part of the reason why I want to like quit the game. Yeah. So
I mean, that's one of the tactics of gacha game is to pressure you into paying and buying things.
Constant engagement Yeah.
Yeah, and these kind of like live service games that as we call it, like they constantly push out new characters, new weapons for you to like pull from a gacha system. This is what we call power creep, where like something gets more and more powerful the longer it runs. Like the game, the gears, the characters are gonna get more powerful, and that kind of undermines the open world aspects of the game because it was designed for very elementary, very basic characters doing basic attacks and stuff, and now you have characters riding motorcycles through the land and like just
Playing with a gun.
and just killing everything in one hit. It kind of undermines the kind of open world aspect of it where you can just rush through everything without seeing the things in it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Like, there are two mobile ways for you to travel along in Genshin, which compared to, for example, like Elden Ring, you can only ride through the map through horses. So
Nuh-uh. There's mods you can turn into a fighter jet and a tank. I think we're getting off topic also.
It is an open world, so you can do whatever you want.
right.
Okay, so I guess it's not just in game, right? Sometimes it's just too many choices, and that is not really helpful at all because we can get easily overwhelmed by that. And there are so many times I feel so lost just sitting in a restaurant looking at like 100 different combinations of food, and I just cannot decide on what to get just for a lunch, let alone important life choices I have. So in a game, at least you have a map and like a quest log, but in life, you don't really have that. It's even more fussier. So that brings up a question that I think we should think about is, what would take the guidance role in our life and how would we want it to be? Would that be like the education system, a mentor, or just a short plan or anything?
I mean, I wish like I could have like a HUD, like a heads-up display on like in my eyes where I can like see like, oh, there's a compass on the top, like there's like side quest in like the side view, and there's like main quest that I can follow. Like I wish there's something like that I can just blindly follow. I mean, I don't want to think too much. Like in video games, like we're given the quest to sort of, and then we will have to find ways to do it. But like in real life, you are not given the quest. Like people will tell you, okay, you should do this now, but then like all the middle parts are missing. You'll have to figure everything out by yourself. I sort of wish that there was more guidance in the middle parts. So yeah, that's what I would want, like a quest meter that is constantly present.
I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, more guidance would be nice, but I think for me, similarly in life, I would like to be gradually given more autonomy and the guidance to be let go of. Because I mean, right now I feel like as we get a bit older, becomes an adult, the guidance really dropped off significantly. Like before, you have your parents, you have your teachers, but then suddenly after you graduate high school, it's just kind of like all gone. And unless you actively seek help, which isn't always feasible, you don't really have any guidance around. And yeah, so I would want to have guidance for a bit more longer, but eventually I would like to be given the autonomy for, making my own choices and finding my own ways.
As you have mentioned, like we are like all secondary school students in Hong Kong. Like we were secondary school students. We were basically bound to like we basically had no choice but to like attempt like an examination, and we had to like study certain subjects and stuff like that. But then once we graduated from high school and into the university, we like options just open up. There's like a plethora of things to choose from, but it can sometimes feel very overwhelming. Like, oh, so in my break period, do I want to like go to work? Do I want to go to travel? Do I want to like do something else that would like benefit my career, or do I just want to take a break? It's something that we all have to think about, and I'm sure you guys will understand what I mean.
Yeah, and I think suddenly being dropped into such an open world, it really made me question about the point of life, the meaning of life. Like, am I just existing to benefit shareholders to make money, but like what's the point of making money if like I'm feeling terrible all the time? Like, damn.
It is like respawning in the level 80 region when you are like level 5.
Yeah.
Like I do not know what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna follow whoever is doing the best. But then once that, once that stops, you have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to
And
do.
the thing that the best people are doing is way too hard for you to do. So it's just like you can't really do anything.
Okay, thanks for all the sharing. And I don't think we have time to go into your identity crisis or something. So
Quarter
let's
life
move on.
crisis. I'm only
Existential
20.
crisis.
My life is over, guys.
Who knows? It could be your midlife crisis.
So it seems like we all want to have some freedom to make our own decisions, but at the same time, we got overwhelmed when there are unlimited choices and we do not have a quest log. So we always tend to seek for some sort of guidance in life. I think striking a balance between like having our own rights to make decisions and having a right amount of guidance is a lifelong topic that we should all think about as an individual and as a society. This leads us to the grand review, the magic trick of these open world games. Let's talk about all this freedom, but how real is it? So here's a thought. In games, you can find your own way and choose your own ending. However, we also know that everything is just set up for you. It's a well-designed, intentional path. So to you guys, does this mean we're just experiencing an illusion of freedom, or can we still make our own choices within the framework?
I feel like nowadays there's a lot more like regulation. If we're talking about life, there's a lot more regulation, restrictions, because, loopholes has been closed or just things have just gotten more developed. And so I feel like the opportunities and choices you can make are actually less than it seems like, because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of loophole you need to jump through. You need a lot of capital to really start anything yourself. But I do think we can still make our own choices if you work hard enough, even though that effort required has been raised tremendously. I mean, it's just like, I would say, take the example of speedrunning in games. Even though the game designers have like designed the games to be played a certain way, speedrunners always find ways to break the game or just to exploit and create different ways of playing the games within the game itself. And I think that is a really good representation of like how you can still make your own choices, even though it seems like most things are set for you.
Yeah, and to your point of speedrunning, like a lot of people in the video gaming community is actually dedicated to finding glitches and bugs and exploits in these games. And I'm not like a glitch hunter, as they say, but like I do enjoy the glitches and bugs that were found by other players, as it feels like I'm doing something illegal. It feels like I'm kind of escaping the boundaries of the developers. Like I would be in a place like in my favorite game, Breath of the Wild, I once found a way to sort of get under the terrain and get under the intended world. And I was flying under the world. I was looking up and I was thinking like, oh, I have actually like passed through all your boundaries. I am cheating. I am doing something that was not intended by the developers, and it felt liberating because it was a feeling that we don't really get in our real lives. Like in our lives, like we are all law-abiding citizens. Yep, and we don't really break rules often, so it is a feeling that we don't really get normally.
I would say like adding mods is also a way of freedom in gaming, because like actually you may find that you can explore rather than the expected gameplay of the game, you can explore other play styles offered by the community, and it like just expand the scope of the game. So I think I'm not sure whether we can find like these kind of mechanisms in real life, but like taking me as example, I'm trying to like create my path towards the creative industry, and that's something beyond our study program. Like, so I try to put like insights from other sources, and it feels like maybe it's the kind of similar to adding more to my life. Maybe, yeah.
So enough of talking about game experiences. Do you feel like your own life or your future is a preset path, like by anything, like your background, your degree, or just so social expectations that make you feel like you don't really have a choice in life?
I think in one of our education courses, the lecturer straight up talked about school being a factory is to prepare students for working. And I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory that, we are made to become workers. We are made to become, another pawn in our capitalist society. I mean, capitalist society, if done right, can be good, but right now I don't think it's very good.
It's actually really crazy that that they teach people in education
Yes.
this. That's
It,
crazy.
it kinds of tell a story, doesn't it? Like students are expected to that there's an expectation of like a standard student that is like, oh, they get an A or they get a B in every single subject, so they can be put into certain industry to do certain things, and there's less and less autonomy for students nowadays, especially like since we are like education people.
Yeah, and like other than like, having societal expectations, I think now that our world has developed a lot from like the Industrial Revolution, that there's a lot of institution that has been set up. Because like, I mean, other than going to university, even though you may know a lot, you have a lot of knowledge, you still won't be recognized for that, even unless you go to one of those recognized institutions. And I think that really limits the opportunity that people can have in life, and that really having that, it really sets people's life into a set trajectory.
Yeah, it's very disheartening for like future teachers like me that a lot of people are like, they are perceived by their qualifications and degrees instead of their actual skills, and instead of evaluated like a person, they're seen as like just numbers and like bachelor of something. So it's very sad to see.
And it's crazy that we are requiring them to make such life-defining decisions at such a young age where their brains haven't even fully developed. Like our brain only fully developed at like 25, and having them to make a decision that will define their entire career and their entire life at like 16, 15, that really shows that our life is quite set.
Yeah, life is an open world. It's just that there's lava everywhere surrounding you. You just have to avoid the fire. You have to avoid the blizzards, everything, It's pretty open.
So I think to you guys, it's like you agree that life is preset as teachers.
You can break free from it, but you will be sent to a mental psychiatric hospital,
I feel like another thing about life is that they kind of preset your study scope when you have no when your brain is not yet developed to know about your interests, your aspirations, and unlike games, for example, in Elden Ring, there's a unique system of like leveling up. They allow you to put your skill points towards different attributes, and they allow you to retake it and like wash away the attribute points and like to rebuild your character build. But like in life, there's no such like retaking opportunity for us. As we spend all our earlier years of life in schooling, we cannot like reuse the time into developing in our like desired way of life. So I would say it's quite sad.
I would just say that it's not possible for poor people. It is possible for rich people because they can afford to use more time to do
Well, if you are the one in the billion poor people that is extremely talented in one particular subject, in one particular area of expertise, then you might have a non-zero chance of making it. So,
Sad world we live in.
Okay, in this sad world, have you ever made a decision that made you feel like you step out of your comfort
You mean
zone?
in this sad open world?
Sad open world. And like that decision might have changed your whole life. That moment where you truly felt like you're deviated from your main quest of your life and you're just trying to write your own story.
Well, I've mentioned this in the past 2 episodes, but I'm gonna repeat again. I started running about a year ago, and I would say that is the one of the most notable decisions I've made in the past recently, I guess. Yeah. And I mean, I used to just go to the gym. I mean, I haven't really progressed a lot, but since I've decided to actually commit to running, stepping out of my comfort zone, it has improved me a lot, both physically and mentally. Of course, physically, but mentally, it really helped me a lot. Because, yeah, exercise. I mean, people say exercise is very good for your health, and that's true, actually. So, yeah.
I would say for me, there are 2 things which first I developed a community for student game developers in our faculty, which I try to group people who is passionate in game development together, which it kind of, though game development is part of our program structure, it's we're just gathering people by interest, and I feel like it's part of the way that I try to say no to our current scope of study. I'm able to create our own community on that. And the second thing is I start to really committed in learning digital illustration. As in the previous years, I've started painting for I guess over 7 years since my childhood, and now I'm finally thinking I need to commit to this. I need to learn it seriously so that I can there's no waste of time in such investing in such hobby. So I feel like it's really making me to think about how to progress through life from what you accumulated in your previous time, I guess. Yeah.
And for me, the biggest kind of decision I've made is sort of to stop looking at, stop committing myself too much to something. At the start of the podcast, Isaac talked about coming to terms with the fact that there's not many options that we actually have in real life. For me, I used to be a very, a standard student. I get A's and stuff like that. And it came to a point in my secondary school life where there was too much pressure on me, and I started caring less and less about my own academic stuff like that. I sort of made way for more of my hobbies, which include playing video games and playing squash sometimes, but mostly video games. I sort of committed myself less to a certain thing to allow myself to open up my own open world, to look at all the different options that I have. And taking that step back, it kind of feels like we're going backwards, we're not committing ourselves to a main objective. But sometimes the side quest can be quite motivating. Sometimes the side quest is to freshen us a bit to prepare us for the main quest. That is what I feel like.
Yeah, same. I'm totally a side quest person. I just love exploring everything and do everything I can and leave the main quest as the last thing I do, which actually caused me some troubles, for example, in academic. And sometimes it makes me feel like I'm so behind in progress compared to everyone else who is taking the same main quest as me. However, I think this is just a matter of choice because we all have the same amount of time, and it's our own choices to spend our time on whatever we feel like. Maybe we feel like doing side quests all day and then just do main quests for 10% of your life. But we need to accept the fact that we give up on something when we go with another thing. for example, side quests. So it seems like that whether in a game or in life, the most meaningful moments of freedom might not come from having infinite options. It's actually from having the courage to commit to paths that you feel like you should go. No matter it is a main quest for you or as just a side quest. And even when the map is full of fog. As we log off for today, I want to leave you all with this. Maybe the point of an open world, both the digital and the real one, isn't to conquer all of it. It's to find the paths that matter the most to you and to have the courage to walk on them, even while 1,000 other possibilities flicker on the horizon. Thank you for listening to the third episode of Pixel Perspectives podcast. We're just a few university students trying to survive our main quest, which is our assignments and exams. And we chose to take on a fun, meaningful side quest along the way. If you enjoyed the chat, please give us a like, follow, and subscribe, and find us on Instagram at Pixel Perspective Pod. Remember, find the road that mattered the most to you, and that will be your own yellow brick road. This has been Pixel Perspectives. I'm your host, Charmaine, accompanied with my co-hosts, Isaac and Vincent, and our guest, Christy. So catch you next time when our paths cross again.